Good evening, fight fans and circus followers. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting Network alternative commentary for Floyd, the Money Mayweather versus Logan, the YouTuber Paul. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified. Quite possibly the most mortified I've been since 2006 when I first started doing these. Joining me tonight is a man that makes my mortification look positively normal. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who hates the circus and everyone in it, Robert Winfree. How do you do, sir?
Well, I hate that I volunteered for this, but I understand what drives content, and this will drive.
Do you feel dirty saying that? Do you feel like after this you're just going to have to get into the shower with your clothing on?
Yeah, a little. Actually, after this, I have to record a podcast.
Oh, you still have to do the 411 Mania podcast?
Mm-hmm. I just kind of figured I may as well wait until this ends so I can talk about it a little bit.
Oh, do you need someone for that?
What?
For your MMA podcast.
You feel you can cogently preview UFC 263? Sure.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway,
right.
Floyd Mayweather retired after 15-0. His final fight was against Conor McGregor, which he won by TKO in the 10th round. It was entertaining. It was semi-laughable. His last real fight was against Andre Berto, which he won by unanimous decision on September 12th of 2015, where he retained the unified WBA, WBC, and ring welterweight titles. Logan Paul lost to KSI. Well,
to be fair, he should have won their first fight.
Fair enough. So his professional boxing record is currently 0-1. As he goes,
I believe it's 0-1-1.
According to the wiki, it's just 0-1.
Huh, I could have sworn their first fight went to a draw. Might have been an exhibition instead of a professional affair.
And so he goes into an exhibition here against Floyd Mayweather for quote-unquote bragging rights. Now, look, pre-fight analysis for this turkey is effectively useless and stupid. But I will ask you this, Robert Winfree, expert of all combat sports. My contention has been to anyone, any casual, those dirty, dirty casuals, as you like to call them.
Yes, no, hold on. I do not call them dirty or filthy casuals. I hate them, but I do not assign those pejoratives to them. They're just casuals.
Okay. The dirty, dirty casuals who are just casuals, according to Robert Winfree.
Look, there's a scale, right? You have hardcore. It's not an either or. There's a very big sliding scale about your fandom on various things, and the majority of fans of any particular event, sporting team or personality, are casual fans. You just have to accept that if you're a hardcore fan.
Is that Floyd Mayweather, if you look at his real fights, not the one against Conor McGregor, because I think he was just having fun, but against Manny Pacquiao, Andre Berto, Canelo, was the man. It was the master of defensive fighting. If he didn't want to be hit, generally speaking, he didn't get hit. He had exceptional hand speed, footwork. He was able to work off his back foot, and he really had a commanding ring presence. Not the most crowd pleasing at times. Certainly, people who saw the Manny Pacquiao fight, again, the dirty, dirty casuals, could not appreciate the finer points of that fight and just thought it was boring. But to get to my contention is that if he doesn't want, and there's a caveat to this, if he doesn't want Logan Paul to touch him, Logan Paul doesn't touch him. Now, my asterisk, my caveat to that is, I think he realizes, of course he realizes, isn't he thinking about it, that this is motorcycles in a sphere. This is Chinese gymnasts. This is acrobats. This is a circus, and he needs to put on a show. So I think he will drag this thing out for as many rounds as it's supposed to be. But again, I think whatever happens in that ring tonight will be because he wants it to happen, and there will be no surprises. Certainly, and this is where I'm going to stop and let you jump in here, for the people who think, oh, Logan Paul might get a flash knockout, that is the most laughable among laughable things.
Yeah, look, Logan's going to get exactly what Floyd gives him and nothing else.
Right.
I don't care that Logan Paul is 20 years younger. I don't care that Logan Paul is 35 pounds heavier and a foot taller. The size disparity between these two gentlemen is quite real. It is not nearly large enough a size disparity to make up for the catastrophic gulf in their talent.
I mean, can we just talk about that for a second? Would you agree with my sort of pre-fight preamble assessment that he had a commanding ring presence and was really a genius in there? I mean, he's scumbag and everywhere else in his life.
Floyd is the best boxer of his generation, and it's not terribly close. There are some wonderful boxers out there right now, and he had some very, very talented contemporaries. None of them were him. And
I mean, he really did face a murderer. I mean, like, there are some guys.
Oh, there are people who go out of their way to diminish and demean Floyd's career because they feel he ducked people. He never ducked anybody. Because they feel he got a decision in one fight in particular that everybody disagreed. Not everybody. That certain people disagreed with, and I think you can. You don't think he waited until Manny Pacquiao was on the other side of. I want to use my word carefully here. I feel like I am definitely in the camp that said he waited just long enough for Manny Pacquiao to be just easier to take. That 4 or 5 years earlier, in prime Pacquiao years, that's a different fight. And I think he purposely waited it out. It's still a fight Floyd wins.
Okay.
2, and I've said this about Floyd, that people misunderstand all the time when they try to bring up that, he could have fought so-and-so, instead he did something else. Sure, Floyd had different priorities. And Floyd's career, as much as anything else, as much as he is a brilliant man in the ring, his career is perfectly managed. He fights who he wants to fight, when he wants to fight them. Sometimes that means, again, adjusting your priorities a little bit. He went out of his way to fight Canelo before Canelo was what he is now.
Mm-hmm.
He got him a little bit early. Look, I still might favor, if you take the best version of Canelo, which might be where he is right now, and you put that against the best version of Floyd, I might still lean Floyd, but that's a very different fight. More so than the Pacquiao.
I would tell you that Floyd wins against Canelo 9 out of 10 times.
Again, I might favor Floyd, but Canelo now is not at all the same guy he was then. Not at all. He is so much better now. Manny, again, Floyd was good about picking his spots. That's not at all ducking somebody.
Okay, I'm not accusing him of ducking him.
I know. This is for other people.
Okay.
Now, look, did he wait him out? Well, sort of depends on how you look at it.
In defense of Manny Pacquiao,
he was on roids.
He was also he had also come back from a break from the sport to do that fight.
Yeah, look, I'm not knocking Manny Pacquiao in this particular respect. The man was one of the best fighters in the world. He said for a while, I want to fight. I wish to fight, Floyd, and Floyd said, sure, let's do VADA testing, and Manny said, no, I don't want to fight Floyd.
Okay, so just so you don't, or anyone else thinks that, I think Manny Pacquiao is a perfect angel devoid of any personal foibles. I'm not suggesting that. I wasn't even going to get into the roids thing, but you're not wrong about that either. All I said was there was a point at which Manny Pacquiao was the best Manny Pacquiao there would ever be in boxing,
Sure.
and Floyd opted to, and the fight was there for him, and Floyd said no. When Manny Pacquiao was less than the best Manny Pacquiao there could ever be, he was older, he had taken a break from the sport, he was off the roids, and that's when Floyd said, now you're ripe for the pickings. And shock of all shocks, Manny Pacquiao couldn't keep up with Floyd Mayweather at that time.
Look, one, I maintain this. Best version of Manny against best version of Floyd is not close. Floyd wins that every time.
Yeah.
Even when Manny was at his best, Floyd beats him.
9 out of 10 times, not 10-10.
Well, very rarely do you get those mythical 100%ers. If you're good enough to beat the second best guy in the world 9 times out of 10, that fight's not as close as people like as that statistic makes you think it is.
Okay. So
Floyd managed his career, and that's what you're supposed to do. Where was the incentive structure for him to fight Manny 5 years before he did?
I mean, there's a conversation to be had about, you take on all comers, and
It is a conversation that is not without merit, but that is divorced from reality.
I don't disagree with you. I think you and I are now starting to drift into my personal preferences versus, your
I'd rather have seen
holding to logic. So
look. If I'd had my ruthers too, I'm with you. 5 years earlier, I find that a much more interesting fight. Would have loved to have seen it.
Yeah, I think that's just if you're a combat. Look, the thing about like football, just as an example, is the best team, the best two teams of that year play each other. You can't duck a team. You win, you advance, and you advance to the end of the tournament. End of discussion.
Well, even then,
with combat,
even then, you don't always get the best two teams at the Super Bowl.
but you get the teams that won.
Yeah.
In other words, the New Orleans Saints can't opt to not play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl or something.
True.
Because they don't want to. Or because it's not the right time. Or, what if the quarterback's on steroids? Whatever, that damn Tom Brady. You can't do stuff like that.
Everyone in the NFL is on stuff. Who cares?
That's not what I'm getting at.
I know that's not what you're getting at, but again, they're wildly different sports. It's not an apples to apples comparison.
No, it's not. But I think that's what I'm trying to point out to people listening is that you look at some of these sports where the best of the best fight play each other, and it's a much more satisfying experience. Whereas with combat sports, there's so much more gets into making a fight. It's sometimes not as satisfying. All right, we are about ready to start here, and before we get going, and don't do a hour and a half long soliloquy about it, what if anything can Logan Paul do to upend this fight?
Pray.
Good, perfect. Print.
Cheat. That's about it.
Cheat. Cheat.
He comes out, hits a double leg, and just elbows Floyd. That's all he's got.
Okay.
He can't win a boxing match against this guy. He just can't.
All right, round one. Here we go. They take to the center of the ring. Logan Paul looks to jab at the body. Mayweather just kind of putting up his guard, not really throwing anything. This is not starting off with a hoot and a holler.
Are we shocked?
What did you expect?
I don't know.
Floyd Mayweather to come out like a house on fire?
No, I expected Logan Paul to come out like a house on fire.
Well,
my God, look at this! Is like Rocky and Hulk Hogan in there. Floyd Mayweather being Rocky Balboa for all our fans out there. And you can tweet angrily at me at that comparison at Mark Radulich on Twitter.
If you feel so inclined, please do yell at Mark. That's entirely appropriate.
All right, Logan Paul kind of walking down Floyd Mayweather. Oh, Floyd Mayweather threw a hook. Very fast hook.
Yeah.
Even at 44, the man is Quicksilver.
Dude, at 44, Floyd Mayweather could beat the crap out of the vast majority of humanity.
You would certainly not see it coming, that's for certain.
And people forget about Floyd because of what a lot of Floyd's in particular idiosyncrasies in the ring were influenced heavily by who he was training with at the time, whether it was his father or his uncle. His father, of course, emphasized more of his defensive stylings. His uncle got him a little bit more offensive.
I still reflect back on that Conor McGregor fight and how hilarious it was.
Well, it was certainly something.
Logan Paul ate a stiff jab trying to get in. What's hilarious is that Logan Paul obviously has the reach on Floyd. He has the size on him. Can't get inside. Eats a punch every time he does.
Of course not, because there's so much more. This is one of those things about boxing that people who don't watch it don't understand. Boxing is not punching.
Right.
Punching is part of boxing, but boxing is not punching.
They're just tied up there. Logan Paul, you can see the frustration mounting, and it's only round one.
Yeah, this is going to go badly for him.
Again, I don't think Floyd knocked. I mean, unless he has no chin, which who knows? He's only fought KSI.
I don't think.
So Logan Paul going crazy now, just Donkey Kong on Floyd Mayweather, who is covered up and just taking his best punches.
Floyd doesn't care.
No,
Floyd does not give a hoot. That's cute.
So to be clear, much like the Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight, there's no point in scoring this. It's an exhibition. If it goes to the end, it's a draw. So either you win by knockout or it's a draw. This is the third movie trailer I've seen during this pay-per-view.
I fully expect Floyd to stop this somewhere around the 6th to 7th round with body shots. Is kind of my inclination at the moment.
Why do you think he even bothers to stop it and not just let it go? Let it go to the end for entertainment purposes. Bored.
I think after about 3 to 4 rounds, Floyd is going to get bored with the proceedings and decide he wishes to be done.
I wish to end you now. Goodbye.
Yeah, pretty much.
Round 2. Beginning much like round 1. So Logan Paul went a little crazy there at the end of that round. Starting this one a little contemplative again, a little cautious. And I almost, for Logan Paul's sake, don't want him to try to traditionally box Floyd Mayweather. He might actually do better just like Roy Nelsoning it.
Oh, he's got no chance in a boxing match, and if he thinks he does, he is woefully misinformed about his skill set relative to his opponents and everything else.
Yeah, he needs to go full bare knuckle. Just wah! Just windmilling.
Yeah, he really can't. He really can't win this kind of fight. He's going to try and flurry a bit at the ends of rounds, but his cardio's not going to be there. His legs are going to go pretty soon at this rate.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I was alluding to before. Not even alluding, just outright saying. Because there's no score here, Floyd Mayweather just has to not let Logan Paul hit him. And that's it. Nothing else matters. He just needs to not take a clean power shot, which he can easily do against this mope.
100%.
It's a weird. I mean, again, I love a good circus, but it's a weird thing to engage in when you think about he doesn't have to win; he just has to not lose.
Yeah, well, such is the nature of what they've set up here.
No doubt. And I'm not even complaining. I'm just these are observations because shit, there ain't much boxing to call right now. Jonas, what do you think of the fight so far? Let's weigh in for our man on the street.
That one's
The brown guy is Floyd Mayweather. Call him by his Christian name.
Floyd Mayweather almost got knocked out.
How did Floyd Mayweather almost get knocked out?
I saw it on my flight.
Oh, okay. All right, there it is, our man on the street report. And now for the women's perspective. Melissa,
Yeah.
how are you enjoying the fight so far?
I mean,
Perfect, thank you.
yeah.
Well said. And now, back to you, Robert.
Yeah, there's not a lot here. Again, it's Floyd doing whatever he wants to do for as long as he's going to feel like doing it.
Yeah.
It's not terribly complicated. It's not terribly...
Logan Paul is hating life right now. Look at his body language.
He's begun to realize how in over his head he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a rough place to be in that particular respect.
I can't remember who I was talking to recently. I've done so many of these podcasts over the past few months, but I know I said to somebody recently that I never want to meet my heroes because I don't want to find out that I hate them. And when I'm
certainly a life philosophy you can try to live by, I suppose.
I want to continue to appreciate them for the art that they create, and I don't want to find out that they're terrible people.
Who cares if they're terrible people if you enjoy their art?
So anyway, and this is one of the things where, water cooler conversations, people were like, oh, you know who I bet would win in a fight, blah, blah, versus yakety schmackety. And then you see it for real and you realize it'll never live up to any expectation you could possibly have. And so if a water cooler conversation ever actually took place of what if one of the Paul brothers took on the best boxer of the last 20 years, and then you see it like this and you're like, oh, this was much better in a sort of a
much
dream.
Better in your... This is much better when you're slightly drunk or bored or both.
Right. This is a much better argument in a bar than it is in actual reality. Round 3, by the way. Nice headlock there by Logan Paul.
If you're scoring, for whatever value you want to give that, Floyd is clearly up.
Logan Paul looks like he's getting worn.
Logan Paul throws a couple of jabs. Okay, so Logan Paul has done what I've advised other boxers to do. He has decided to not try boxing anymore, and has just proceeded to ugly this up. Like, I'm just going to keep dirty boxing. I'm going to keep tying up. I'm going to keep throwing punches in the clinch, and see what that does for me. Because clearly, I can't get in on this guy any other way.
The danger, if you're Logan Paul, in doing this is if you annoy Floyd, he's going to end you. Like, Floyd will play around with you as long as you're willing to play around.
Right.
Floyd's not taking this too seriously. He doesn't need to. He knows that.
You think Floyd is whispering in Logan's ear, stop hitting me, you mark, work the match?
No. I think he's whispering in his ear, huh, you tried to throw a punch there, eh? That all you got, Jake?
Like you're
trying to hit something?
You silly honky. You silly little
Why are you
cracker.
trying to hit me, you slow white boy?
So,
and again,
are you even like ancillarily aware of Logan Paul's YouTube crew? Because I don't understand his videos at all, or why they got so much popularity.
I was not aware of Logan Paul when he was primarily on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
He blipped on my radar a few years ago when he did that stupid video with the corpse in Japan.
I don't even know what that is. I don't.
Oh, you don't know this? Okay, this is where a lot of the acrimony for Logan Paul comes from.
Okay, I thought it was something with Nazis or something like that, or a swastika or something.
No. Oh, God. Okay, but what kind of got him out of the bubble, he was a fairly popular guy on TikTok and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What got him a bit more exposure was he was in Japan, and there's a very famous forest in Japan,
mm-hmm.
because people go there to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of this particular forest, forgive me. But
tell the story
very
quickly, because we really should get back to the boxing match.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, he's in this forest with some of his buddies, and they actually find a hanging corpse.
Oh, God.
And he proceeds to make a video cracking jokes.
Oh, that seems very tasteless.
It is. And it was. And he was raked over the coals for it. But it was such a tasteless thing that it got out of the bubble, right?
Sure.
It got him attention out of the bubble, and he's never looked back. Look, I've never watched a single one of this man's videos. He's a professional troll. And God bless him, he's monetized it.
Yeah, no. I don't begrudge him his fortune, but I guess my question was, why are people attracted to him? There are zillions of videos on YouTube and TikTok. Why did this guy succeed?
I genuinely don't know.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what went into it. I don't know what specifically hit. He's good about reading the algorithm. And he and his brother, look, I may not like them. I don't know them personally, so I can't say a whole lot about that. Two things you cannot insult them for. Their work ethic, because what they do is incredibly labor intensive. Those
Sure.
guys wake up, shoot for 8 hours, edit for 4 hours, put out a video every day. That is ridiculously labor intensive.
Yeah, believe me, I know, and all I do is, shitty audio. Speaking of shitty audio, back to the fight. More punching, more tying up.
Yeah,
Oh.
Floyd's starting to work the body now, and you can see Jake doesn't like it.
Yeah, well, Jake actually landed a punch.
Yeah, good for him. Well, sorry, this is Logan, not Jake. Jake's the one in the crowd.
Doesn't really matter. All white people look
Yes,
alike.
actually. Hang on. Yes, it matters, actually. Jake takes his fighting a bit more seriously than Logan does.
I know that. I am aware. I was cracking wise.
And Jake is also going to probably knock out Tyron Woodley in a couple of months.
Yeah, well, you and I will be there to call that fight more than likely.
We'll see. That depends entirely on what else is taking place that day. Floyd is having fun with this.
Yeah.
He is just schooling this guy on boxing at every possible opportunity.
Ugh, did you see that? What a left from Floyd Mayweather. Just, oh my God, so fast. That's the thing about Logan Paul. I don't think he realized how fast Floyd Mayweather is. I mean, he's hit you 2 and 3 times before you even know what happened.
Yeah, look, Floyd is the result, at 44, whatever he is, of a lifetime of boxing. That man was in a boxing gym hitting the speed bag when his father held him up before he could walk. This is what this man does. I hate to say it's all he does. This is his profession, and he spent 40 years at this point getting better at it than everybody. If you weren't around, or you didn't pay attention when Floyd was the best boxer in the world, that man could box a match, wait 18 months, box another match, and still be miles better than his competition. That is ridiculous. Any other combat sport, any other fighter, you have to have the reps. You have to stay sharp. The game evolves. Things change. Not Floyd in boxing. That man could take hiatus after hiatus, come back, and still beat you blind.
Logan Paul trying to tackle Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul has had enough of this.
Yeah, and Floyd's going to give it another round just to kind of go, okay, now you've learned your lesson, and then he'll start pouring in the body shots and end it. There's not really another way this goes.
Logan Paul really does look like he regrets making this decision.
He probably does.
Like people
look, he'll feel better about it when he cashes the giant check he's going to get.
Oh, no, he'll get over this. Look, cocaine and whores are a thing. I'm sure he'll be fine. What I'm saying is right now, psychologically, he has to be thinking, because here's the thing. A guy like that thinks he knows boxing. A guy like that absolutely convinces himself he knows enough about he knows enough about a thing to think he can do it well and think he can do it with the best of the best, especially when the best of the best is so much smaller than him. And he's realizing now how much he doesn't know about boxing. And for a guy who is as successful as you have just laid out vis-a-vis his YouTube career, this is a crushing ego blow. Like, this is sad times. This is cocaine with clothes on in the shower.
This is not looking at. This is looking at your pile of cocaine and going, "I don't deserve it," and turning to heroin. This is going from stimulant to depressive.
Oh, sweet, sweet opiates. Yeah, this is a harrowing lesson for a guy who became rich and famous making stupid videos.
I mean, a little bit, but also not really.
Oh, did you see that right from Mayweather? I mean, it didn't hit, but again, like, he's just so... I mean, this is not Floyd Mayweather's best match by a country mile, but even so, he's... Like, if you could appreciate the finer points of boxing technique, he is a wonder to watch.
He really is. He is the best... He's one of the best fighters to watch and study in the sport.
People listening to this are going to be like, wow, these guys, could you blow Floyd Mayweather anymore? And that's not what this is. Oh, body shot there like you were talking about to Logan Paul. Yeah, Logan Paul didn't like that at all.
Okay, here's the thing about this, and I have to bring this up because Logan Paul is Logan Paul. If all you do is watch professional combat sports, anything that involves striking, you see professionals take these body shots and keep going. And this somehow it gets into your head that body shots aren't that powerful or that they have to be timed just right, which is partially true, but those minute differences really only manifest when you get to the extreme talent levels.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much work he did with medicine balls and how much work he did taking body shots.
I would guarantee nowhere near as much as Floyd has. Nowhere near.
No
body
shit.
shots,
I mean, just in general. Was it part of his training repertoire?
He trained with a legitimate trainer, and he took it seriously, so I'm sure it was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not the same as another guy going out there and doing that. And, again, it's psychological more than anything.
So like I was saying, you have to understand that Robert and I call it as we see it. We are 100% brutally honest. Even when we disagree, we are coming from a place of this is how we see it. And this isn't a matter of fandom. Because I'm not a fan of either one of these guys. I just know Floyd's the best boxer of the last 20 years. He just is. That is an objective measurement. And I also know that you cannot fight some rapper and then jump into the ring with the best boxer in 20 years and think you're going to do anything worth a shit. That is also an objective fact. Say what now?
Mayweather hit, as the bell was ringing.
Oh, well, that happens.
That's not... The bell doesn't... This is something that gets brought up all the time. The bell doesn't actually end the round. The referee ends the round, so...
Right.
And anything thrown like as the bell is ringing is legal.
It's like a basketball shot. If you throw it up as the buzzer is going off, it counts.
As long as it's up in the air before...
Right.
As long as it is in motion before the end of the round, you're good.
Yep. But I just want to say that because people are going to hear this podcast and go like, "Wow, could you be, more of a Floyd stan?" It's like it's not standing; it is objective fact.
Yeah, this is. I don't give Floyd any more credit than he deserves.
When Floyd fought Pacquiao, I rooted for Pacquiao. When Floyd fought Canelo.
Because you're a fool, but...
Well, I can root for whoever the fuck I want to root for.
That's true. Well, look,
I didn't say he was going to win. I just said I was rooting for him.
People root for the Cleveland Browns, too. That doesn't mean they're not stupid.
Hi, Jesse and Jason. Now, I mean, look. If people were like, you're standing, it's not. Again, I rooted for Pacquiao. I would have thought it was...
Look, you don't have to watch the New England Patriots take on a football team from Texas. If you say the New England Patriots are smashing these jamokes, that's because they are. It's not you trying to blow the Patriots. It's a statement of fact.
Right.
Floyd is really just kind of smoking Paul at this point. Those body shots, you can see it on Logan's face. Like he's so not happy.
And that's the thing, the average person gets hit in the body, you don't know how much that's going to take out of you. Like I have been hit in the body, both in training and just in a fight over the 45 years I've been alive. Being hit in the body sucks, and you don't know how bad it is until it actually happens.
It's one of those things that you always see when you see a professional, even a this is not a mid-level professional, but even if you see a mid-level professional against a total amateur, and I don't mean amateur boxer like in the amateur system, I mean some jackass off the street.
That's one of the things where, like, if you watch professional boxing and you see a body shot knockout, how brutal that is.
Yeah, like you see people when they come into the gyms trying to see how tough they are, they cover their heads because they're worried about getting punched in the head. A professional will hit you in the body 3 times, you double over, you beg for mommy. Like that's how that goes.
Yeah, you could take a punch to the jaw and still stand. You take a punch to the solar plexus, you're done.
If they're really mean, when you're kind of turning around, they hit you in the kidney, which just sucks so much.
Yeah, it does. So if you're wondering, like, well, what's happening in the fight, you two assholes? Nothing, really. It's a lot of time.
Floyd is walking Logan Paul. Floyd is walking Logan Paul down, hitting him. Logan is clinching, trying to figure out what to do. They're breaking and then repeating that pattern.
Yep, it has been the same thing for where are we, round 6? 2 more rounds of this to go.
I imagine that it's going to get stopped here in around round 7. It's just I struggle to see Floyd deciding this is still a valuable use of his time.
Well, when you mean stop, you mean he's going to, oh my God, Logan Paul just took a nasty shot to the face. He shook it off,
like
but...
That. Well, look, it's not that Floyd doesn't have power. He can certainly pack a bit of a punch, but with the size disparity between these two, going for the head is not really the best avenue of victory. Someone that much smaller than you can knock you out. I certainly don't mean to imply that they can't, but if
I
you're
would say Tyson would disagree with you.
Well, again, if you're in a stand-up fight like this, it's a little bit less likely. And let's be clear, the differences between Tyson at 230 at heavyweight and a 250 guy at heavyweight.
Are you seeing this?
A little bit, yes.
They just showed, for people wondering, like, see what? They just showed Floyd Mayweather's other exhibitions. They're showing his worked match against pro wrestler The Big Show, Paul White. Oh, and here's another one. Against...
for the record, Floyd's other real exhibition was a boxing bout with kickboxing sensation Tenshin Nasukawa. Tenshin got a little uppity and clocked Floyd with a right when Floyd thought we were just doing an exhibition that's friendly. Nasukawa punched him for real and Floyd went, oh, okay, and then knocked him out.
Nice.
It was, Floyd, like I said, Floyd's here to make money. Floyd will play if that's what we're doing. And that's kind of what he's doing here.
Floyd said my favorite thing about this fight, actually. He was like...
It's legalized robbery.
Something along the lines of, they're going to pay me to fight a guy I can easily beat. I'll take the money. I'll take the easy payday. Like, in the promo video for this, he was talking about, like, I own a construction company. I'm building a skyscraper. You know, I'm doing this. My favorite thing... Actually, my favorite thing that they showed that he talked about was his strip club called Girl Collection, which is a bit human trafficky sounding, but I still thought it was hilarious because I'm me. Anyway, this is what he talked about.
It's funnier because he opened that particular establishment after being somewhat credibly accused of domestic violence.
Well, domestic violence is not human trafficking. In any case, I just, like, for him, this is, okay, there's other things I want to do, there's other things I want to be in life, and it takes money to be those things, especially when you're him. So they want to throw stupid money at him for an easy night of nonsense. He's willing to take it. And God bless him. I am 100% on Floyd Mayweather's side where that's concerned. Like, because Logan Paul's in this to try to prove something, and it's like, your psychology is fascinating and stupid.
Look, Logan Paul's not so much here to prove something as he is to get paid. I mean, at this point in the ring right now, this moment, sure, he's trying to prove something.
No. He was absolutely convinced in his own mind. Again, I don't necessarily want to project, and I'm not a mind reader, but I do feel like I have good instincts when it comes to people's psychology, given my profession, This guy convinced himself this was doable. And he is having a severe blow to the ego.
He might have convinced himself that he has a 1 in a million shot. And he got in there, and after 2 rounds realized he didn't even have that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once the bell rang, that was done. But going into this...
I mean, even going into this, he knew... I think you're correct in that he talked himself into believing he had a shot. He always knew it was a long shot.
Sure.
Like, this is not a guy who went in there going, you know what, I'm a 3-1 underdog, and that's about right.
No, I didn't say he convinced himself he could walk through Mayweather. He convinced himself this was I won't look bad. I will be convincing. I will prove to people that I am a legitimate boxer, and he has learned in this fight the hard way that he is not.
No, he is, and again, I think his brother is the one who takes his fighting and his training more seriously of the two.
Yeah, I don't say that stuff about Jake Paul, but then Jake Paul, I mean, he fought a basketball player and Ben Askren.
And now he's going to fight Tyron Woodley.
You yelled at me when I made the joke of Jake Paul beats up MMA, but that's the way this is going. Like, next up, Lyoto Machida.
Jake Paul continues to offer recently released UFC fighters the biggest payday of their career.
Yeah, really. So you follow this more closely than I do. It'd be a fun question to ask you. Which recently released UFC fighter does he fight after Tyron Woodley?
We got the axe recently. He might actually have to fight a boxer after this.
Ugh, God, why start now? I like my idea. If I'm managing Jake Paul's career, I think he should just tear through past their prime MMA fighters until he has a good 20-0 record.
Oh, I mean this is going to be a lot on
round 8, by the way.
Yeah, I think Floyd's going to let this go the distance. If he does,
I told you. You always doubt me and don't think I know anything, but I know people, and people are people. So why should it be you and I should get along so awfully?
Either that or he's going to do it in this round just because he can.
Now, if you've come this far into this circus, you know that it is time for the fat lady to sing. But when I say that, I mean time will expire, and they'll shake hands, and he will go build a skyscraper and call it the Logan Paul Center.
Look, Floyd deciding that. Floyd not knocking this guy out would be actually the ultimate troll because everybody wants to see him knocked out.
No, you know what's funny? So I'm in on 97 different boxing groups on Facebook. I can't tell you how many for every there were 2 schools of thought here. It was this isn't boxing, this is a circus. Why no one should order this fight, and those people were roundly ignored. And then there were the rest of the people who want to see Logan Paul knock out Floyd Mayweather, which is really interesting to me.
Look, Floyd spent his entire professional boxing career being the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were in the weeds on boxing when he was doing that, that's not a grudge most people are going to let go of.
Look, and so people understand where Mark Radulich is coming from for what my opinion's worth. I'm all for stuff like this. Because here, actually, I don't like the way this show went. I think it's better when your show has a stupid main event like this one, but it's filled with guys you should be paying attention to.
No.
Why? Why not give a showcase to up-and-coming boxers?
I vehemently disagree with you.
Okay.
I think if you want to have crap like this, fine. There's a market for it. Go make money. Keep this as far away from the legitimate aspects of boxing as you can, because if you wind up marrying those two together, even tangentially, it's a really bad idea.
But why? You say that, but if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around to hear it, it doesn't make a sound.
Because if you tell people that the legitimate boxers are boxing in the circus, they don't look legitimate.
But they're having their own fights. I mean, your undercard
Doesn't
is
matter.
your undercard.
I'm
not suggesting I'm not suggesting it should be filled up with circus fights. I'm suggesting that you have your circus at the end.
I'm telling you, doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you put Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua as the co-main to this fight, that diminishes Fury and Joshua.
No. I don't think you should. But a Shakur Stevenson who could use the rub, why not put him on this card?
No, let him fight on a bigger boxing event with real boxers on top. Half the audience from this is never going to see boxing again. You're wasting it. It is a waste of time to try and do that.
So this went to this went the distance, by the way.
Yeah. Kind of disappointed that Floyd didn't go for the finish a little bit more, but what are you going to do?
All right, so show stats. 50-10 for Mayweather for jabs.
Sure.
39-15 for power punches for Mayweather. And total was 40-13. Jake Paul, I award you no points.
Logan.
Logan Paul. Who cares? All white people look alike. Logan Paul, I award you no point, and may God have mercy on your soul. Let's hear from the panel though. Jonas, what did you think of Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul?
I wasn't paying attention.
Perfect. Melissa, what did you think of Logan Paul versus Floyd the Money Mayweather?
It was boring.
Yeah.
And that's your view from Casual Circle, everyone. I wasn't paying attention, and it was boring. I'll go to you, Robert. What is your final analysis on this extravaganza?
All of you listening to this, please stick around for our other shows. Let's be very clear about this. I only told Mark, sure, I'll do this, because I know how much potential traffic the Paul brothers drive. And you know what? No, don't. Prove me right. When Mark says, why don't we have legitimate boxers in legitimate boxing bouts under the circus, let's do a little social experiment. We'll do the same thing here. You all came to this particular show to listen about this particular circus. Let's see if you stick around for something that doesn't suck.
Here are some shows that don't suck.
Well, we don't have too many of those, but
God, you're so negative.
I really am.
This past week, we dedicated ourselves to all things Disney, villains, and Cruella. So we kicked things off a week ago with Robert's, a re-airing of Robert's Everyone Loves a Bad Guy, Disney Villains Part 1. I was on that show. It's from a few years back. And then on Monday, myself and Alexis Hana reviewed Mickey's Inferno, which is a parody of Dante's Inferno, which showed up in an Italian magazine back in the day and was reprinted. We finally got to the pinnacle, the star of the week. We did a movie review for Cruella. Variety thinks it's the bee's knees. Robert, what is Variety?
A useless rag that I would barely deign to wipe my ass with.
But a movie that didn't suck, Quiet Place Part 2, was also reviewed. I was not on that one because I was with Jesse reviewing Bongzilla Wisconsin. For those of you who like weed and stoner metal. And for those of you who like Kenny Omega, myself and Chris Bailey reviewed AEW Double or Nothing. Sean and I put the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians from 1996 on trial. Speaking of re-airs, we re-aired our review of Expendables 3 from a few years back. Yesterday, Jesse put up a very short syndicated source material talking about inker Colonel Jim Sanders, who had worked on a What If book that he reviewed the previous 2 weeks ago. Also, my kids and I did a alternative commentary for the 1961 animated 101 Dalmatians based on the novel by Dodie Smith. So if you enjoy listening to my children make terrible jokes and scream at the television, that's the show for you. And prior to this here podcast was the second re-airing of, second part of Robert Disney Villains Part 2. This is where we talked about the Disney Renaissance villains. This week, we've got an interview with Zombies director, Glenn Miller. We have a review of Lucifer Season 5B. And we'll have a review of MODOK Head Games. We will review MODOK on Hulu. We will also... I thought I had the night off, but then my son beat me and whipped me and made me do another show. So my son and I will be doing an alternative commentary for the movie Ready Player One. The review is already in the archives. You can check out me and Robert talking about that from when it actually came out. But my son apparently just discovered it on said YouTube. So we're going to watch it, and then we're going to talk about it. Loki debuts on Disney Plus June 9th. Just in time for that, myself and Alexis Haina will review the book Loki, the God Who Fell to Earth. We will also... Robert will be filling in for Jesse this week. We bring Robert on for all things The Simpsons. So in this case, it's stoner metal band from Australia, Dr. Colossus, and their new album, I'm a Stupid Moron with an Ugly Face and a Big Butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt. So that'll be fun. Alexis Haina and Sean Comer are threatening to do a podcast together with me. We are going to be doing a comic strip for The Judas Contract. We will read the book, we will watch the animated movie, and we will talk about it, and we will see what happens. And then finally... we'll have a re-airing of our review of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes from back in the day. We will be reviewing, because it's Pride Month, all month long here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. So we will be reviewing DC Pride #1. That's, again, Sean Comer, Alexis Haina, and me. And then, provided all things go the way they're supposed to, myself and Pat Mullen will be reviewing the first half of Season 3 of Dark Side of the Ring, which featured... the Grizzly Smith family, which includes Jake Roberts and Rockin' Robin, Dynamite Kid, The Ultimate Warrior, Collision in Korea, Brian Pillman. So, and then they're taking a break, and we'll come back later in the year to finish off season 3. That's what I got going on. What do you got? What do you got that they ain't got?
Jeez, so much. I've actually got a fairly light week this week. I'm going to be recording the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast pretty much as soon as we get done with this. That'll be a review of last night's event, which I'm pretty sure I was one of like 5 people that watched.
I didn't watch. I was watching Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar, if you want to talk about that.
Why in the world would I want to talk about that?
Because it was funny.
You don't know me at all. And it's occasionally depressing. It'll also be a preview of next week's UFC 263, 2 title fights, and a very special 5-round non-main event, non-title fight. So I'll give you a preview of all that stuff.
Why is that happening?
I don't know. Because it was supposed to be a 5-round main event, and then it got moved, and everyone kind of went, sure, why not?
Okay.
I don't, and look, to be quite clear, I don't care. It's a break from the norm, but Nate Diaz gets to break norms all the time. So
it's Nate Diaz in a 5-round, not for a title fight,
and not in the main event. Yes.
Well, it's Nate Diaz, and I can somewhat accept it. He's a star, and that's fine.
And there was a real question about whether or not he will be after this fight, but you get into that. If you want my full take on that, listen to the show. Should be fun. And then again, whatever news, we'll talk a little bit about this fight, and again, news in the combat sports world, such as it is. So good time will be had by all. Give that a listen. There is no Damn You Hollywood this week, but as Mark mentioned, I'm going to be on the Dr. Colossus discussion on Wednesday. That should be something.
There's no Damn You Hollywood for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're not back until... we're actually not back until the Fast Saga on the 29th.
Nope, we're back before that.
Oh, there's Luca. There's Luca on the 21st.
Actually, you're not back for Damn You Hollywood is only taking a week off. Damn You Hollywood will be back on June 17th, but you won't be there because of musicals. You will be back on the 21st for Luca.
There is one for In the Heights, which I would not have nice things to say about.
So Samuel Hollywood will be back on the 21st, a special Monday afternoon show for Luca, and then we'll be back to our normal Tuesday at 9 for the Fast Saga.
Well, there's one on Friday.
What Friday?
There is one on Friday the 25th for the movie Awake on Netflix.
Oh yeah, that's me and Jeff. Unless you're inserting yourself into that.
Nah, I imagine not. Okay, I'm just looking at the schedule here and seeing what's up. So, yeah, after a very, very busy previous month, I'm a little bit off this month. I get to relax, not do quite as many shows, have my blood pressure go down a little bit, enjoy life, watch what I want to watch.
Well, you may watch what you want to watch, but you're not going to enjoy life. We both know that.
Enjoy life relative to enjoy it a little more than I did before.
All right, before Robert walks into the woods to live deliberately, you have been listening to yet another alternative commentary here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network for Floyd, the Money Mayweather versus Logan, the Corpse Grinder, Paul.
Okay, stop, just very briefly.
Oh, God.
It is not the money, it's just Floyd Money Mayweather, and technically speaking, Jake Paul's nickname is Maverick.
Be well, be safe, and behave.